To order at 1:01, and I'll do the audio recording announcement. This open meeting of the Historic Structures Advisory Board is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's Executive Order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings. And as such, the governor's order suspends this requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of the public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as possible. Reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. For this meeting, HSAB is convening by Zoom app is posted on the town's website identifying how the public may join in. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and all attendees are participating in video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you. Take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website. Unless otherwise noted, the public is encouraged to follow along using posted agenda unless I note otherwise. We're now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules and effective, clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. Did I skip something? Anyway, where was it? Lost. Okay, I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of numbers, inviting each by name to provide any comment question. Please hold until your name is called. And further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking, and remember to speak clearly. Please wait for the chair to yield the floor to you, and when you state your name before speaking. If no one wishes to engage in conversation with other members, please do so through the chair. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call votes. And I skipped the members. So when I call your name, please respond. Angus.
Here.
Brooke.
Yes.
And nobody else. And the staff is Holly Dacus.
Present.
Thank you. So I think that's done with that. And we'll move on to no minutes to approve. Public comment. There is none. So old business, which is for now.
Mr. Chair, did you adopt the agenda?
No. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Seconded by Brooke.
Second.
All those in favor, Angus and Brooke?
Aye.
Aye, too. So, hi, Lisa.
Hi.
We have the garage. Lisa, any comments first?
Well, a couple of comments. I don't know if you remember, the original garage was a much larger structure and it was at the back of the property. It was 2 stories and we had incorporated the garage and the guest house as one larger building. What we've done since then is separate the garage out as a single story roof structure. And then under new business, which you haven't seen yet, there is a single story cottage in the back. So the garage mimics what was there. It is a hip to roof. We're matching the hip to roof pitch on the main house. That's where the 9 pitch comes from. And then we added some dormers just to break up the roof line a little bit, but there's no intention to have any space above there, any habitable space. Maybe a loft, but.
Okay. Brooke, did you raise your hand?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. And what is the height on that?
It's 15 feet 9.
15 feet 9?
Sorry, 19 feet 9.
19 feet 9. So it's almost 20 feet. Okay. I have really no concerns with this. I think it works well with the site, and it speaks to the history of the small garage that was there previously. I appreciate that it was pulled out of the other structure, and it's simple and it works. That's my thought.
Okay, thanks. Angus?
I concur.
Okay, you know, my only, I have two comments. One of them, Lisa, you said that the other garage had a shallower pitched roof.
I'm not sure if it did. I'm just saying that this is, hold on. If someone wants to open web content using this program.
Don't do it.
Yeah, what is it? Where did that come from?
No.
Oh, that's your screen. That's your thing.
That's
Okay.
Holly's.
I almost clicked on it. I could double check, but I mean, I think the existing garage had a pretty steep roof pitch. I don't have the demo file in front of me. I could certainly pull it up and we could look at the existing conditions drawings.
So my thinking was that, you know, the dormers, are, you know, as you say, they're almost decorative. You have no intention to use that space for head height or anything like that. So, you know, then the old garage didn't have the dormers and possibly a shallower pitch. So it was probably a little bit more, less visible, less obtrusive structure. So, I mean, ideally, I'd probably rather see this without dormers. You know, they do actually face the street. The garage doors don't face the road. So the dormer does. So I'd say if you could make the roof pitch shallower and reduce the dormers, that's probably what I would prefer. That brings it in line with pretty much just what the old garage used to be, or probably still is.
Yeah, I think we thought the dormers tied back into the main house a little bit. And they could go on the other elevations, you know, facing into the driveway. But then you would see the dormer coming up Highland. So I thought they were better from the side.
Yeah, I think, you know, again, it's not really up to us, but my comment is that sort of less is more in this case. Why put the dormers if you don't need them? And my other comment was the door over, and granted, you probably won't see this at all, but that door, the batten door, the transoms lights are, you know, tilted the wrong way.
Oh, yeah, you mean the lights have to be more vertical.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So any other thoughts from the board?
Yeah, I think that's a good catch with the pitch. What is is this matching the pitch of the roof of the main house?
Yes, it is. It is definitely matching the pitch of the main house.
The only thing I would do good that maybe they could become 6 light, and wherever that sill hits the roof, that's where it would be set back to.
Okay.
You know, that where I guess the bottom of the meeting rail, so that it's a 6 light, which responds to the 2 lights high of the doors.
Right. Right.
It would just sort of minimize the scale, but still provide lights up high.
Mm-hmm.
Might be a good compromise.
Okay, we'll take a look at that. I was just trying to pull up the existing, to see if I had the existing drawings of the garage and if I could tell you what the pitch is, just because.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I did want to let you know, in light of Lucy not being here, she did email me her comments for today.
Oh, terrific.
So her question on the garage was, she noted that the garage doors are Hamilton blue, not glossy. Okay. So I'm assuming that's to match Twin Deck's existing color.
What is that?
The main house. The main house.
Right. Lisa, is Hamilton blue the color of doors on the main house?
I'm double checking the application as we speak. because I don't remember off the top of my head.
So are you saying the garage doors would be Hamilton blue?
Let's see, let me just double check.
The application indicates
The
it.
front door was Hamilton blue on the main house. That's correct. That's what approved on the main house. We just look at my garage application now.
Which is right before us right now.
Yeah.
And says Hamilton blue.
It says white.
I guess that's what it says. White would have been for the normal doors, Hamilton blue for the garage doors.
And what are they now?
I think they're white.
I don't know. For the garage doors, Hamilton blues, anybody have any concerns about that?
No.
I don't think I do either. I think it's probably better than not white.
There's so much white out there. It almost is like Hamilton blue would be welcome, but either way.
Yeah.
It is a very white neighborhood, that's for sure. White paint. And they'll have the Hamilton blue shutters. I believe the shutters were Hamilton blue as well. I should double check that, but I think that that was the intent.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
The shutters were going to be Hamilton blue, so I think that's where the idea came from, was to match those.
I think in general, we're okay with that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Right. Yep. Thank you.
I'll see you in a bit.
Yep.
Let's mute you guys for a little while.
Okay. So next we have 49 Holbert, which was window replacement.
Yeah, these all look like Boston sash to me, but they're not really called out. It's just like kind.
I had the same issue. There's no window schedule with this. And there's got to be one to place the order for the window. So.
Mr. Chair, I'm not aware of this application, but I do want to remind you guys that the reason why it's before you is because all window replacements within the old historic districts go before the HDC versus going through staff.
Okay. Well, that's if it's like kind and they have checked TDLs, true divided lights, double hung, wood.
They have?
They on the application they did.
Oh, okay. Little scratchy. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay.
Yeah.
No concerns.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same. Angus?
No concerns.
Good. Next. 56 Washington.
Good afternoon. I'm Jerry Connick. I'm representing the Herons, my sister-in-law and sister, and wife.
Great. Welcome. I had a couple questions about this one, actually. So the work has already been done?
The air conditioners were air conditioners at the time. They're changed to heat and air conditioning. The air conditioning unit has been in there on the east side for about 16 years and on the west side for about 5 years. This is a view from the street. You can't see the air conditioners from this view.
Right. But so they're on the gable ends.
They're on the gable ends, and
right.
They actually replaced 16 years ago. There was actually a gable vent there, and it replaced the lower and upper gable vent. What my intention was this year, before your inspector caught me, was to replace those with this to cover the air conditioner. You can see the air conditioner from years ago. You can't really see it, but we were going to replace it with a louvered panels, which I was having made at the time the inspector came by, because I wanted to reduce how much the air conditioner stood out to less than 6 inches. So that's the way we were going to do it. But I got the cease and desist order before the louvered panels came in, so I stopped.
Okay. So what we'll see when it's all done is that wooden louver.
Right.
6 inches off the face of the building.
Correct.
And
And
what
it
about
will
the side,
weather,
the 6-inch sides, they'll be wood also?
yes, cedar, yeah. It slips right over the metal panels.
Now, obviously a bunch of the unit is still inside the attic of the building or inside.
Yeah, it's all, it will be moved almost completely in except for 3 inches. The louver is an inch thick. You know, it's all made out of cedar to match it. That's why it took so long to get.
Now, is there a reason you can't just pull the entire unit inside so that the louver can sit flush on the outside?
I could try, but they didn't the air conditioning company recommended that I leave it out a couple of inches anyways. I called them, there's no vents on the side. I could push it all the way in if that's what you'd like.
Well, then
I'll do whatever you want. We're gonna live in this full-time year round now. We never did before. In fact, nobody lived in it. We used to store stuff in it for the past 6, 7 years.
Wow.
And I tried not to change anything on the outside.
Great. Well, I think ideally from our perspective that if the louver sits flush with the sidewall like it normally does, that would be ideal for us.
Okay, it wouldn't actually ever be flush though. It would be at least 1.5 inches out.
I think we could probably live with 1.5 inches out.
It would be no further than the storm windows out. So that's about 1.5 inches.
Okay, Brooke or Angus, any thoughts?
I have no concerns with that. I do have a question about the HVAC units that were proposed.
Excuse me?
On the application, it said something about HVAC units. Is that correct?
No, it's just these units. They're called, they're heat and cool, mostly just to stabilize the air on the second floor.
All right, but looking at that site plan, I would conclude that those are down on the ground. Is that correct?
Oh, there is one down on the ground, but theoretically, you can't even see it. I had to move bushes out of the way so the inspector could see it.
And those have been there?
Everything has been there. There's nothing new. There's no new openings cut. What was happening was the cases were rotted away. When we pulled the case out, the whole thing came apart. So it just slipped in. They're units that are continually made by Friedrich and General Electric.
Yeah. So my concern is not really an HDC one, but it may relate to it at some point, and that is that it looks like those units are in the setback, and
oh no.
According to your site plan, it does. So that's
they're not in the setback.
All right.
They're not. This whole on the east side you're looking at, it's at least 10 feet away. On the west side, it's at least 5.5 feet away.
All right. Can you go to the site plan, please, Holly? All right. See, that looks like a lot less than 10 feet.
It's 10 feet over here. What you're looking at is this piece. There's a section of the building you're looking at. This is on the second floor. This is up above. So the second floor is set back.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. No concern.
Oh no, trust me, I'm more careful than you would imagine about that.
Angus?
Oh, I just like the idea of it being inset as much as
possible.
Much as possible. And thank you for doing the cedar. I think that'll blend in nicely.
Now, did you mention that there is a unit on the first floor?
Yeah, you can't really see it, but we're going to do the same thing. And that one doesn't stick out at all the way it is.
Where is that on the pictures? Can you point out where that is?
It's right below the one. Go to the other picture. Go to the other picture. It's right down here behind those trees there.
And is it sitting on the ground or is it stuck in the building?
No, it's stuck in the building.
Okay.
I see, if you look the other direction from my building, you'll see a couple of buildings where I can see the split units that they put on with the piping, I didn't want anything to do with that.
Great, good.
Okay, when you look the other way from my building across the conservation land, you can see all the air conditioning equipment. On the other building on the other side of me, the air conditioning is sitting on the roof and covered with weathered checkerboard trellis work. And, you know, if you look across the street, look at the city building, it's got G zone lines that stick out as far as mine ever did.
Yeah. No, you're doing it nicely. You know,
and what I want is any suggestion you gentlemen have and ladies, I would take. You know, I want the building to look proper and very livable. You know, it's very important to us.
If you can get those louvers as flush as possible with the sidewall, that's what we would like to see.
Okay.
So I think that says it all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep. Next we have 24 Union.
Hello, everyone. My name is Milena, and I'm on behalf of Steve Thoreau here. Let me see if I can. Today, I will present you the 24 Union Street application for a new driveway. And in the application, you can see attached a photo from 1940s that show old driveway. This is the site plan. I think the picture is, if you can scroll down, Holly, please. I believe down on the application. This is the place that we proposed the new driveway. This is a pictures of a neighborhood driveways. A little further down.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to mention that you'll see emails in here. I have communicated with the previous owner and then now the potential new owner. They had to, in order to put this parking space in, they had to get approval from the select board.
Picture. So we have the new driveway conforms to zoning and parking regulations, and it's already been approved from the DPW. The material that we propose, the herringbone pattern bricks, it's the same as the driveways in the neighborhood. And the exist curb cut is in place.
Does anybody on the board, Angus or Brooke, do you have any concerns with this one?
I do, actually. Given that right next door is another driveway, another parking area that's also brick and also herringbone.
Correct, yeah.
I am curious if there is a chance of either a different material or a different pattern, so it doesn't look like the parking areas are connected to each other. I think it'll just help, you know, just give a little bit of visual variety.
So there is this existing fence in between the parking spots, in between on the property line. Yes.
Yep, I saw that. I did.
Brooke, what do you think a better material would be? Do you have a recommendation, or you just want to say try?
I think, you know, I think that you could probably go with white shell there. I mean, there's definitely evidence of white shell on Union Street. And if you really don't want to go with white shell, I was thinking just a different brick pattern, you know, just to establish it as unique to 24 Union Street versus being a continuation of the neighbor. So,
yeah. I assume the fence will remain between them?
Yes.
Okay. It's
To Brooke's point, I think if this is brick, it's going to look like a double driveway with a fence down the middle of it. So I think if it's going to be brick, it may as well be herringbone. But I think it's a good suggestion to try a different material. And then the photos included in this application there are, there's an example of shell, which would clearly delineate it.
Mm-hmm. Well, how about the notion of maintaining a little bit of soil, I guess, under the fence so that you could plant ivy or something that might be green to help separate the two spaces a little bit.
Look, it's not a hard pass for me. It's just a thought. That was my first impression.
Mm-hmm. So sounds like we're suggesting to possibly change the material. And
okay.
Or at least the pattern.
Or pattern, right. And
okay.
Maybe
we will take that comment.
Plant some ivy or something on the thing.
And just to clarify for the record, they only got BPAC approval through the select board for the removal of the on-street parking place to incorporate this driveway. I consider that a third of the approval. Once they get HDC's COA approval, then they'll be able to get the actual DPW approval. I just wanted to clarify that for the record.
Yeah, this did go to the traffic safety work group. And I think eventually it got through. So are we all good with this one?
Yes, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. 14 Lincoln.
Hi, you said 14 Lincoln, right?
Yes.
Okay, hi, I'm Michaela, and I will be representing this.
Great.
So we are proposing a 12 by 24 foot pool that will be screened behind the existing main house and the existing guest house. In addition, there is existing privet that borders the property.
Okay.
So it will be very well screened between all of those factors.
Yeah, I kind of agree. It'll be pretty well screened. Brooke or Angus, do you have any concerns with this?
So it'll be screened from the pool across the hedge?
Yes.
Probably. Brooke?
You know, no concerns as long as the pool's not visible. And the same for the pavers that are being proposed. Oh, is that deck area also being proposed?
The patio?
Not the one around the pool, but the one behind, like immediately right there. Is that?
Nope, that was already approved. That's
okay.
Old, that's existing, yep.
Okay, then I have no concerns as long as it's not visible.
Yeah.
I have no concerns either, so I think we're good with this one. Thank you, Michaela.
Thank you, have a good day.
You too. So, 4 Lincoln Ave, new studio. This is the matching Lisa's garage.
Hello again.
Brooke and Angus, did you look at this one? Do you have any concerns?
I did look at it. I like it. I have no concerns. I think it works perfectly up there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it fits well as well.
Yep, I think it's good too. No concerns.
Okay, thank you. See you in a bit.
Yep. 30 Cliff. Hardscape. All right. Again, Angus and Brooke, did you have any concerns with this one?
Not Not really. I mean, I'm glad they're taking out the concrete. I think that, again, if, you know, they did something that distinguished it from the neighbor's driveway, that would be helpful. Again, it just, you know, it just seems like it creates what amounts to like a, visually anyway, a double parking space.
Yeah.
Same, you know, same concern that I had with Union Street. It's not like a strong push, but it's just what, you know, what I see when I look at that. But I'll defer to you guys.
Angus?
The same.
Yeah, I kind of have similar concerns about the double wide. But the fence will be in between. I'd probably make the same comments about trying to keep some planting along that edge.
Yeah, I do appreciate they're getting rid of the concrete. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, whoever.
Okay. All right. Probably no real concerns with that one, except the amount of brick, but generally okay. Next is 36B Lily. Studio.
Hi.
Studio.
This is a lot that where there's an existing gambrel building, and we had a previous approval to have it more on the southern end of the lot, and we're requesting just moving that same design to the northern end of the lot. You can see the red dotted line of where it was previously approved.
Mm-hmm. What, Lisa, was the house approved before also?
Not this house. There was another house approved on a much bigger site, which the land bank has now purchased.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Angus, Brooke?
I have no concerns. I think it's fine on Gull Island frontage.
Yeah, what is facing Gull Island? Is it the north face?
North
Yeah.
elevation.
The north.
I don't have any concerns.
So I guess my concern is that Gull Island, even in that very end location, is still a road. I mean, it's a road, it's a lane, I guess. And this is now we're going to be putting the back of this barn, side of the barn, facing the road. And I have sort of mixed feelings about this one. It seems like should the front of the house, should the house be on this? Lisa, what was your thinking in terms of having the garage on one side and the house on the other?
Well, I think if you look at the GIS map, where this actually is on Gull Island, at that point, it's actually splitting off and becoming the driveway to the house that's way back there. So it doesn't really feel like it's addressing Gull Island Road at all. I don't think the site ever did.
It's way back.
So I think our feeling is that it makes, sorry, I hope the noise isn't bothering you, that it makes the most sense to have this face into the lot rather than address Gull Island Road just because of how the road works.
So it's putting the back of the house on Gull Island and essentially saying the front of the house is accessed off of that sort of driveway down Lily Street.
Down Lily Street, that's right. Which is how those sites were addressed before. They were always addressed from Lily Street, never from Gull. Well, they don't have frontage on Gull Island.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, I don't believe they actually front on Gull Island.
Okay. That sort of makes a difference too. Okay, I see that a little bit on the site plan. All right, so that kind of alleviates a little bit of my concern about which road it should face. Other than that, I think the only other thought I had was, what's behind the sliding door right there?
That is a good question. It exists. Yeah, there is a sliding door currently there.
It's a big, huge picture sliding door.
Yeah. It's a triple slider.
So, you know, we like to see what's behind this, the curtain. You know, this is going to be open a lot. So what is it, a 3 15 light panels, and you know what?
It's probably 10 light panels. I'm thinking it matches the doors that are on the south.
Got it. Yeah.
But there would be 3 leaves.
Which, you know, is probably 1 leaf too many for me in the old historic district. I don't know what to say about what's behind sliding barn doors. What do you really want to see behind a sliding barn door? French doors? Not really, but typically there would be nothing behind them.
That's a little tricky as far as insulation. And it makes me think about Liberty Street and the barn there with the doors that are always open, and that's just one big plate of glass, which is it's counterintuitive because, you know, we don't like picture windows, but it reads more as a clear opening. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a, you know, do you go for the many panes like we normally would with French doors and 15 light, or do you go for the clear glass that makes it feel more like just an opening?
Yeah, Eugénie's old house, I think it succeeds pretty well. Like I never noticed that there's glass there. I walk by it a lot.
Mm-hmm. If you go to one of our sheets, show the previously approved south. It used to be the south, and now it's becoming the
west.
It's in the middle on top. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it had that approved previously.
So that's what you're proposing.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you know, again, I think we'll have to revisit this a little bit maybe, because obviously the building has a slightly different relationship now. Mm-hmm. But I would say that is the concept.
So is that going to remain the south, or will that be the north?
That'll be not the north. It's going to be the west, I think. Hold on, I gotta go. It's always confusing. It's the west.
So that's facing down towards this property, right? This direction?
No, other way.
Other way.
That
there's
direction.
a building right in front of it.
Yeah.
Towards the lily pond.
Yeah.
Okay. Probably better. Can from Gull Island Lane, can you get that far down to see that end of the building?
I don't know. I'd have to check that. I mean, it certainly looks on the GIS map, and I can double check on the aerials whether or not it actually like literally ends. Map Geotown of Nantucket. Let me just see if I can find that quickly. 36.
It's like that's the neighbor's property at the end of Gull Island.
Yeah, I think what happens is Gull Island Lane sort of ends. Mm-hmm. If you look at the GIS map, it just ends kind of halfway through 36B, and then it becomes the neighbor's property.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing too.
So I think that visibility will be pretty limited, certainly from a public way.
Okay, so guys, what do you think about behind that sliding barn door? What would you rather see? Triple slider, glass?
I actually kind of like a minimalist glass panel, like what's that?
Does this need to be operable, Lisa?
I mean, at this point, it was shown operable.
Uh-huh.
But I'm sure they're open to, you know, suggestions if there's something that you guys would rather see. I mean, I think it'd probably be nice to get some cross ventilation through the building, mm-hmm. to have some airflow.
Yeah, it's a tough one. What are we going to say here? Glass or, because in fact, I'm almost inclined to just leave it the way it is. 15 lights, 10 lights there.
I know about you all, but when you're inside and there's that much glass, it sort of contains your space. Otherwise, you feel like you're just sort of spilling out into the abyss. It's, I don't know, but I think it's kind of nice to have panes. And also it does feel a little bit more historic.
Certainly from the inside, it might feel more in keeping with the rest of the architecture of the building. I mean, I think it could go either way. I appreciate the idea of the cleanliness of it, where it's just a void and it really brings the outside in.
I'm wondering from a visibility perspective, if it's because 36 now is land bank property, essentially an arm of the lily pond, and it's going to be facing that direction. So
True.
I'm wondering from a visibility perspective if a view wouldn't be, because this building is no longer there.
Oh, it isn't?
No,
Oh.
that's the one that was partially demoed and then it sat there, and due to COVID and all that, that was before previously. So that's not there anymore. So you're gonna have a visibility. And I've been down Gull Island not that long ago, and you actually can look over. So maybe having a view would be beneficial.
Well, I think a view would be terrific. And I think it's going to be, if that's becoming land bank property, it's going to be visible. No question about that. But I don't know. I'm sort of backtracking and thinking maybe the best thing is just to leave it as triple French doors instead of something that feels kind of contemporary. Because I know the.
I think Lisa has a good point that the broken panes are more in keeping with the rest of the fenestration.
Yeah.
No strong feelings either way, you know.
All right.
I still think it's a nice looking building. I still think that it's a great reuse of a structure. I still, you know, I mean, the doors are there, and they're, you know, the building's getting moved, and it's always been there. And I've always walked by it, and I've always seen those glass doors. So I don't have a concern either way.
What is behind that sliding barn door currently before the approval?
Oh boy, you know, wouldn't be able to tell you. I'd have to go back and look at photos. I think it might just be a garage bay. I don't know that there is anything in there, but I'm not positive.
Got it.
It's been a long time.
All right, so I'm going to sort of back the whole thing up and say we probably really have no concerns about this. Does that sound right?
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Lisa.
Okay, and then now I think the next one is the house.
Right. Right.
So this was the front, actually, I believe the front faces the lily pond. Is that correct? Do I have that right? Yes. So the front door is facing west. And it's shown currently as a Dutch door. I see we have to fix our transom.
Good, thank you.
Get on that.
So, I think the same person drew those last two up, so that explains it.
They're gonna be looking for a job.
Use the gambrel form to be in keeping with the little studio building, and incorporated the hip roofs as a secondary mass for this structure. I think it's relatively simple and pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, generally I didn't have a real concern, but when I first looked at this, I was a little confused about the front of the building, because I looked at the south elevation with that little 9-light door and the small porch, and I thought that's facing Lily Street. That looks like the front of the building, but it didn't feel like a good front door. But I see this actual west elevation as the front.
Yeah.
Which you don't really see from the approach, but I'm not sure I care enough about it.
It's just such an awkwardly accessed site to begin with. You know, I don't think it has much presence on Lily Street. It's down below. You go down that long driveway to get to it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not like a typical house where it should be addressing the road. This one is,
Yeah,
it's at the end of that long driveway.
it is like a driveway. Brooke or Angus?
Yeah, I think it sort of echoes Gracie's mansion a little bit, which I appreciate. I appreciate the simple form and the reasonable fenestration program. The south elevation is what looks up up to Lily Street. I think, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So, you know, I think it would be nice to have maybe a more interesting door besides the 9-light door there. But again, I'm sure it's okay, but I think that it'd be fun to maybe have a more of a shingle style light pattern or panels or something like that. Just, you know, just to help it out a little bit. But if that's not the front, then I guess it's really not a concern.
Yeah, that was my initial feeling, and then I kind of got over it. Angus?
That was my only issue too. In general, I really like it. And I like that it echoes Gracie's. And yeah, the door, I was thinking, could that just be another Dutch door, or could it be if it's a side door, why not be a Dutch door with a window in it, or a plank door with a window in it, something, or something with many lights in it. But the stock 9-light 2 panel, I think doesn't fit in with the character that all the rest of it exhibits.
It doesn't do justice to this nice design.
Yeah, I understand.
I had a question, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
On this west elevation, so that's a Dutch door with the transom above?
Yes.
I thought you couldn't have having a lighted window door that has lights in it with a transom above, unless it was substantial.
Well, I think probably, are you saying because it's not appropriate, or?
Yeah.
Well, I would think it's probably due to, I mean, I guess
lack of visibility.
Pond, but though it's not really visible, if that is a concern. I didn't know that the Dutch door with the transom above it was really a concern, but.
I haven't seen that before, but okay. I'm just curious. Thank you.
I'm not the board. Those guys should respond.
Yeah, what you're saying, Holly, sounds a little familiar to do generally with transom doors, I guess. Don't have both the transom and glass in the door.
Right. I was always the impression it was one or the other. But I do like the Dutch door if that has any benefit.
This feels a little different because it's a sort of a panel or a batten door it's a Dutch door first. So it doesn't seem to fit into the most rules. So I think I'm okay with the general. Once you fix the transom, okay with that. Anything else? I think not. I think we're good with this one. Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
"42 Cliff Road." Oh. Ben, there you are.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Ben.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. So I don't know how familiar any of you are with this tiny little building, but I know Mickey probably is. But it's a very narrow little. It almost looks like a trailer, park trailer. It's so narrow. It's probably about 10 feet wide, and it's on this very skinny little lot. It almost looks like an accessory building to another structure on Cliff Road, but it's not. It's its own little cottage. So the proposal in front of you is initially to lift it and to put a poured concrete foundation under it. Right now it has a cinder block foundation that's needing repair or replacement, to be honest with you. And then we're going to do a couple small little bump outs just to gain a little bit of width in the building. And then on the bedroom number 2, we're creating a kind of a larger gable back there just to, again, create a little bit more elbow room. You know, not huge architectural changes. It's really just trying to make this building, well, improve it. It's been kind of neglected for quite a while, but also just create a little bit more elbow room through the building. So, history-wise, it was supposedly built in 1915 per the report. That's probably true. It's gone through a heck of a lot of changes since then. The owners of it have owned it, or it's been in their family for supposedly about 100 years. So they're pretty familiar with all the repairs and changes of it. There's rumor that maybe the funny shape was like a hose house or some type of utility building for the hotel up there on Cliff Road. I reached out to NPT and they didn't have anything that was helpful. I haven't been able to find any record confirming that, but it's an incredibly unusual design. So it's got to have some connection to something. And hopefully you'll see our presentation, our proposal here isn't changing that, just trying to give it a little bit more elbow room in the building. So.
Okay. Yeah, I heard it was a hose house, hose shed for the sequel within, but not sure that's substantiated. Any concerns, Brooke or Angus?
None. Nope.
I think what's proposed works fine. The only thing is I would, if any windows that are original or older, I would try to reuse those. So in like the proposed plan, there are 6 light windows or 3/3, I can't quite tell, but that and then in the as-built they're shown as well. But I'm seeing so I'm seeing existing on that south, but on the north, it looked like it was they were getting pulled out. And if those number 3s could be the ones that are on the as-built on that left side to the left of the shower. Yep. Basically anywhere where you could save and reuse old windows, I'd rather see that.
Okay.
The same with the ones on the addition where it looks like they're the 6/9s. Yeah. If those could get used instead of replaced, if they're old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know, Ben, how the old age of these windows?
You know, this building is such a collection of stuff. I don't think you could say any of it is probably original. Maybe some of it's original to that 1915 construction timeline. Some of it could be older. Some of it's recycled from all over the place. It's a conglomerate of parts. Mm-hmm. So I think what I can do is go through and kind of figure out what's salvageable, and then go through and try to see where I can plug in, you know, reused windows rather than brand new ones. So I'm happy to do that.
Great.
Thank you. That's all.
Good. No other concerns then.
And Ben, I just checked the NHL data. It says 1915 as well, so that's got to be right.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thanks. For Westchester. I didn't have any concerns with this. Brooke or Angus, did you see this one?
No concerns. Well, actually, I did have a minor concern. I feel like that 8/8 is maybe just a little bit big for the kind of building that this is. I mean, I think a 6/6 might work a little bit better, but again, not going to push that agenda. That's just my first impressions.
Mm-hmm. I might agree with that. I'm not a fan of 8/8s to begin with. But unless there's some existing.
Can I make a presentation on this real quick?
Sure.
Sure.
I want to too.
Thanks. So yeah, we had a shed run through you guys before. During that kind of process, the abutters neighbors were concerned about our mechanical equipment that was going behind here. So we've come back. We're now covering the generator with a lean-to structure that Jason actually suggested, and that's making the neighbors happy. And then the windows are actually recycled from the old kitchen at the house. So the number 2s were in the old kitchen of the Gardner house that were removed for the new kitchen program that's happening there that was approved. And the number 1s also were removed as part of that reno project. And now we're recycling them into this building. Right. So these windows are currently sitting in a garage on the property, and we just want to use them again. You know, we want this building to look old. We want it to look like it's been there for a long time. And we thought reusing these old windows is a great way to do that quickly.
You had me at recycled.
Yep, they're recycled.
Ditto.
I was going to compliment you on the proportions. It felt more authentic to have the 8/8, and the proportions make the shed lines look better. I think more interesting than a 6/6, and the recycling is great. So good on you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem there. No concerns. And then the fence.
Yeah, I'll stick around for the fence. I think it's Julie's name on it, but so again, this is part of the discussion with the neighbors. They gently nudged us to build them a fence, and we said yes, or we said we would. So we're proposing a 40-foot long stretch of board natural weather cedar fence, technically on the neighbor's property. So I think this is under I think it's listed in the agenda as their property. I can't remember now. No, I guess not. Well, okay, so scratch that. I guess technically it'll be on the Hagedorn's property, but it goes right down the property line. Again, to help just to relieve the neighbors' concerns of this mechanical equipment that we're proposing behind the shed. And that's what we're asking for.
Okay. How tall? 4 feet high. That's okay with me. Brooke or Angus, any thoughts?
No concerns.
No concerns.
Great. All set then.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, man. 19 Union. We've seen this one before. Looks like they're changing roof material. And some, actually quite a lot of things.
I thought Joe was here. I know I let him in.
So he was there, you're right.
He was here.
Yeah. You want to skip over this one and hope he shows up?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. I think there's a lot going on here.
There is. So let's go on to the next one. 14 Harbour View. No. Yeah, 14 Harbour View Way.
He got bounced off, Mr. Chairman. He's trying to get back on now.
Okay. Thanks. Is this Luke?
I'm here for that also, for this one.
Okay.
This is the one on the corner as you're coming down to go to the boat ramp where the white elephant's on your left. This is the one that's right on the corner.
Mm-hmm.
This has had the least amount done to it of the structures that are actually on 2, 4, 6, and 8 are 1, 10, 12, 14, and this is 14. We're going to expand the dormers so they almost match the ones that are in the house next door, which was taken down and put back up in the early 2000s, go figure. And add an addition to the left. There is a small addition there on the left that you can see it on the existing on the left. And they're going to add and expand that. There's a new young family that bought this house for their family, and they have a large family. And put a roof walk up there. Hang on one second, Joe Topham's calling me. Yes, I'm on my own case now. What's yours? Okay, all right, bye. His Comcast is down, guys. So he doesn't think he can come back on unless he can call in. House out of the floodplain. If we did that, the front steps would hang out onto the sidewalk. So as with a lot of houses down on Brant Point, when you lift it to get it out of the floodplain, you got to go to a different stair configuration. Otherwise, you'd be over your property line. In the back, if you want to go up a little bit to the next one. In the back, you can see they have a unit on the left side there with that picture. That's where the addition is going on the right side. And that whole deck is sort of going to stay on the back side of the main house. And they're going to put a dormer up there with a roof walk. Now there's an awful lot of information on this to the point of where I had to deliver the packets by hand because there's a whole thing on roof walks on Brant Point, which I've used multiple times for other roof walks on Brant Point. And there is every kind of wackadoodle roof walk down on Brant Point you can imagine. So having a roof walk sitting on a dormer is not atypical. It's probably 35, 40% of them down on Brant Point are sitting on dormers of all kinds of dormers. So that's pretty much it. There's not a lot of expansion on this lot. It's the smaller of the lots, a little bit smaller than the rest of them. And the house itself was smaller than the rest of them. So really where we can go is up. We really can't go out too much except for that one side. And if you go down, you can see what it looks like on the bottom there. And then there's the plans. There's an awful lot of pictures I have below it, but Holly, this is the one that had 3 sections to it.
All right, let me pull that up. And I did see, Linda, what you left from Don Bracken regarding FEMA. I would also just want to remind, and maybe this is something I need to do, is send something out to the engineers, but you know, historic structures with our design guidelines, there's ways to make it so you don't have to completely change the historic character of the structure. What with wet floodproofing, dry floodproofing, what have you, utilize existing. Does this have a basement already or no?
Yes, and I want to point out something. This is the first thing that gets hit. So all the water floods right into this from the landing. And when they put up that stupid wall on the town pier to try to floodplain it, it goes in my other clients at 46 Easton, and it goes right around the wall. And where does it go? Into this basement. So we'd like to get the first floor framing out of the water completely. And these are the pictures of all the other weird dormers sitting with the roof walks on them. Ours would be natural to weather, not white. That's on the dormers on one side, and they're all over the Brant. Yeah. I don't know why that's off center, but there you go. That one was just approved. They're just, oh, that's probably why Luke can't get on either, because he's on Comcast. Sitting on the dormer. So these are just context pictures. And I have a lot of pictures of the structure itself. That, yeah.
Let's come back to these if we have to look at more roof walk issues. But let's go back to the original drawing.
I got to plug my computer in because mine's going down now myself.
So, Brooke,
walking to another room.
What are your thoughts about the general plan?
I think Holly has a good point about you know, the option
on Zoom,
and hopefully necessity for retaining the historic character of it, the general feeling of it. The balcony out over the front door, I think it helps to have it be a shingled rail, but that changes the feeling there. The double dormers really start to overwhelm up there, and with the single dormers, might be able to get a roof walk up there without it sitting on dormers. I guess the area where the addition is buildable land, and they have a right to do something with it, but it doesn't. That addition, it doesn't feel as sympathetic as it could be to the existing structure. And I don't have an answer of how to make it fit in better, but I think the big the dropped roof line definitely helps, but the big shed dormer then just changes the character of that. So I think reducing that dormer to the size of the doors and having the similar roof line overhangs and eaves to accent more what's going on next door would be good. But I think ideally there would just be windows that don't interrupt the eave line instead of French doors.
Explain that to me, because I have to take notes for this, Angus. Exactly, are we on the front of the structure when you're talking about that?
Yeah, the south elevation.
Okay, what do you want me to do with that one over there?
Reduce the size of the dormer and follow through with the same sort of roof details, eave overhang, soffit overhang that there is on the main mast, maybe a reduced version of it, but that shed is drawn just has just
too much wall.
Well, it's too much wall, but the roof doesn't mimic anything with the house. And the windows, I would rather see those broken. Well, the doors, I guess I'd rather see windows than a balcony. And if there is a balcony, just reducing the dormer to the size of the doors. And then something I think needs to happen with the windows. I see, that it's taking the triple window and moving that over to mimic. Mm-hmm. But it feels like the walls are there's too much open wall area. And I'm not saying to do more windows, but maybe in that case, those windows could get spread apart, 6-8 inches apart from each other.
Okay, that makes sense.
Maybe.
Thanks, Angus. Brooke?
Oof. There's a lot going on here. I agree with Angus in general. There are definitely other buildings on this street that have the forward-facing decks, but I think that at least on this street they each only have one deck facing forward. Is that correct?
I have all the pictures down below of all the structures and everything that's happened to those structures, including their original structures, as well as what went on. There are all kinds of decks. A couple of them, I think, one has 2 in the front, one has 3 up the side. So there's a 3rd floor deck. Most of them have been picked up already. This one has not.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind lifting it out of the floodplain.
It's kind of wacky, the additions that have been made to it. I don't know if you can find it in your thing, but I've got a complete history of all the structures on the street and what the weird stuff that's happened to them, and the decks and the changes in the porches and all this other stuff. It's just in this little particular packet here. It's in a separate attachment.
Yeah,
but you're right, Brooke. Most of them don't have more than one facing the street, but some are larger. Some are balustered, some are inset, some, I think one has 2 facing the street.
I don't see it. I'm looking on the street view. I thought so too, but I don't see 2 decks literally on the front of the building on any of them.
I'd have to go back and look. There's several that have multiple decks.
I think I'd be okay with the deck on the main mast. I'm not so sure about the deck on the left-hand side.
Okay.
It just doesn't relate to it. It's a different size. It's a different length. It's a different height. So it just isn't sympathetic to the
Too much
to the main house.
Okay.
You know, I mean, maybe it's as simple as changing that roof pitch to absorb that deck. You know, it might be something simple like that.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind seeing that that porch or that front roof pitch dropped a little bit. I think it's right now shown as a 6 or 7. 6. You know, I mean, it's a little bit steep. I think it'll present fairly massively on the street, and I think that it'd be nice to maybe get it down to a 5.
On the front porch on the main mast?
Main mast front porch, just the roof lines around that deck.
Okay, because right now it's fairly steep, but.
Well, the existing one is like a 2 pitch, so.
It's like a hip.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're just small, like it's what I find pleasing to my eye. I feel like right now with those, with that front porch, the way it's drawn, that roof makes that mass even feel a little bit more massive on the street.
Yeah.
And as far as the roof walk goes, yeah, I mean, it looks, you know, looking around at the photos, it definitely looks like there are a lot of different configurations. And yeah, I don't really like it, but it's obvious that it's been done before. So I think that it works in some regards.
Cool.
In this design. All right, that's it. East is fine.
Okay, so my thinking here is pretty similar to what's already been said. Getting back to that front porch roof, I do think it's too steep. The porch or the shed on the side vision is a 4 pitch. I think why not match that one? It would make it less bulky. So I would reduce the front porch to a 4 pitch.
Okay.
The dormers on the 3rd floor, I think, are too much. I think they make this look like a triple-decker building, a 3-story building. And I think the other ones were good scale. I think they worked well on the building, and I would much rather see those dormers stay just the way they are, rather than, and it's not like they're getting more space, they're just getting better view. So I think.
Oh, they've got bedrooms up there.
I know, but it's not making them more usable. It's just giving them more light and view. So they can live with those dormers the way they are if they had to.
My only comment to that, Mickey, is that almost every one of them on the street went to these double dormers. Almost every single one.
Well,
including the one next door to us, right facing us, actually.
It doesn't mean we have to here. But my next thinking is, so in the back, the rear shed dormer on the 3rd floor, those 2 light awning windows to me look sort of contemporary. And I'm not sure what the solution to that would be, maybe a 4 light or something, just a little bit different. There are 6 light windows below it, so you could probably go with 6 light windows.
I mean, the ones that are down on the 1st floor?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know, I'm not suggesting, maybe I am, but it's something different than what's there is what I'm suggesting.
Okay.
Back on the south elevation.
Yeah, I see what you mean about looking from the side, how steep that roof is.
It's very steep. So yeah. the shed dormer that Angus was talking about on the addition, I also think is really just awkward looking. It's bulky. I don't think it should have another porch. There are no other buildings on this street with 2 decks facing the road. So I would like to eliminate that deck.
Okay.
And I would wonder if maybe even a gable dormer might feel a little bit more interesting than that dormer has too much shingle, either too wide or not enough penetration. It just doesn't have a good feel to it.
It may look better when that porch is, if the porch is removed from there, it may change the aspect.
It'll look better. And I would consider trying a gable. I'm not sure I think that might be add a little bit more interest.
Okay.
And that might be it. I'm not
Mr.
terribly
Chair.
concerned about the roof walk. They're all over the place down there.
Let alone the white elephant right next to us, which has like a 100-foot long roof walk.
Yeah.
I did have a couple of comments from Lucy that she had emailed me.
Okay.
She asked the date of the structure. It's circa 1930. Colonial, well, it says it colonial revival on the NHL data. Material of foundation, states color gray. Is it, so it's going to be painted material?
Yeah, it's painted
okay.
now.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. She indicates alterations should be in keeping with the other buildings of that vintage in the immediate area. Friendship steps inappropriate, and I kind of agree
Who's
with
that
her
from?
on that. Lucy.
Who's this from, Holly?
It's from Lucy. She emailed them to me because she's traveling right now. So I kind of agree with her on that, but I don't know how you could accommodate it any other way. So that's just something to look into without going into obviously the setbacks. There was a question on the AC units and the box meter, since this is a very prominent corner where they were going or being protected.
What was she saying? What was she talking about?
The AC units, where are they? And the box meter, since this is on a corner lot. I didn't see them on here.
We're not moving electrical meters, but I don't know where the AC units are. I don't think we've gotten that far.
Okay.
I'll ask him though.
Luke can indicate that. That would be
I'll ask
great.
him.
And
they have to come up out of the floodplain also, so they're going to be elevated like
correct.
Everybody else.
Which obviously the commission's seen that, and this board's seen that. It looks like that they do. The friendship stairs look like they would meet the setback requirement. I would just look at that because friendship stairs don't really go with that type of style structure. It's kind of odd.
No, they're not my first option there, but you can see where the other stairs are. That's the problem. If we went straight out because of the rise coming up, the bottom would go over the property line. Forget the sidewalk, but over the property line. So that's why we have a problem with it.
Plus you wouldn't have a legal egress landing.
Yeah, so we have to be really careful how crunched we get there in the front. We're allowed a 0 setback, but we can't go over the setback.
Right. No, the question is really, will they need 2 stairs, or is it really just fine to have 1 set of stairs going up to that landing?
That's what I was thinking. Ideally, it would be the straight stair because that does really change the orientation. Holly, are there any waivers or anything when is that part of the preservation planning and resiliency guidelines for situations like this? Is there any sort of variance that you can get if all you need is another step, You
can get a variance being the zoning person. You can get a variance, but you don't need one because you're allowed a 0 front yard setback here. What you cannot do is creep over the property line onto a town walkway. You can't do that. So that's where we run into that last 1 or 2 steps.
So if you can't maintain, and I'm hearing Brooke about the landing too, like you swing open that door and you're down the stair, but what if there's only just the stair going off to the west and not the east?
Right. It doesn't need 2 sides.
Either way, one way or the other type of thing. I'll check it.
Right. Because it's the friendship stairs that give it, you're smushing 2 different styles together, in my opinion, that just does not work. So one side or the other.
Okay.
But I do, want to also hype on the fact that, Bracken, coming from a engineering perspective, FEMA perspective, that he indicates, although the existing first floor is slightly above the design elevation, the first floor system and utilities within the floor system are not compliant with current FEMA and building code requirements. Again, this is a historic structure contributing on the National Historic Landmark District. That could be, the existing basement could be utilized to put those existing features in there and not being a livable space. And that's what other places are able to do to accommodate the National Park Service requirements on adaptation and be in compliance with our proposed resilient Nantucket design guidelines. So I would like to provide that to him and Luke on that. So
Yeah.
Right, so Holly, so what you're saying is that the elevation could stay as is, but just change it out for the piers.
Absolutely. Yes.
They don't want to go on piers on the main body. They want a solid foundation there so they can keep the laundry and all that other crap elevated in the basement. They don't want to do that. The piers are going to be on the left because we're required to do that on the left. We are not required to do that on the main body of the house. And if I remind everybody about all the other ones that have come up down on Brant Point, if nothing else, for insurance purposes. But this takes the whack before any of the rest of the structures gets it, because it is the one closest to the public landing. So they want to get the floor structure out of the basement, and they're at the Concom. So we don't know what the Concom is going to do, but they do not want piers under the main body of the house. They want to put a new foundation to stabilize it. The other part's going to be piers as required.
I just wanted to bring that to the attention because there's this misconception that you have to completely redo existing basements for a historic structure to accommodate FEMA flood. And that's not necessarily the case. You can elevate utilities within inside, not have it a habitable space, and actually put wet or dry flood proofing measures within the structure. So just wanted to bring that to the attention.
A usable space there. Right now, even I can touch the ceiling, and that's pretty low. So they're going to put all this work into it, and they need a new foundation as it is, and they got to put piers on the addition. Then they're going to fix the foundation so the insurance company says, yeah, you're okay.
Well, it sounds like they're bringing it up to what would normally be code compliance for new construction.
Yeah, that's about a foot to 15 inches is all it's coming up. It's not coming up as far as some of the ones across the street, which came up, 2, 3, 4 feet down on Walsh and Willard, where they came way up because they're 9.5 down there.
Yeah, and my point is, you don't, from the National Park Service standards for flooding adaptation, which is what our design guidelines are based off of, you don't have to do that for historic structures. You can accommodate it with other measures.
We'd like to do it. So there you go.
Gotcha.
Well, so maybe part of our recommendations is because the height, could be more than we really want to see, is that if they can prove that they absolutely are required to raise the building an extra foot, then that's one issue. But if they're not required to raise it, then we'd rather see it kept at the lower elevation.
If I'm reading it correctly, there's a 1 foot difference. So I'm not sure how much of a difference that makes, but
it gets the joists out of the water.
Right.
Before we get too far away from it, I didn't really make any comments about the backside, the north side of this. And I agree with the dormer not really fitting in, the main dormer on the main roof. I would back the face of it up till the sill is hitting the roof, and do the 6 over the 6 light windows. Yeah, 2 high, 3 wide, or something that would fit in more with the rest.
So reduce the depth of that dormer.
Now, what do you mean by reduce the depth? You can't have the windows that too far off the floor. What do you mean reduce
the windows would stay the same height, but if you show where the roof hits the dormer, it would be hitting at the sill height instead of 6 or 8 inches below it.
So step the shed back.
Which one? The one on the right or the one on the left?
The one on the left.
Step it back up the roof more?
Yep.
You gonna be able to reach those windows?
They're not gonna change.
Windows don't change.
And ideally the eave would run through on the lower, on the addition. And maybe those could be 6 light as well above the roof line.
So not a flush dormer?
Not a flush dormer.
Oh boy. I don't think they're going to go for that.
I think you could accomplish it with only stepping it back a foot.
Mm-hmm.
I think those perhaps maybe the egress windows. I have to look at it.
Well, that's what we'll recommend.
Yeah, I think the opportunity for an egress window would be in the gable of that.
I don't know what's happening over on that gable. If you go down a little bit, we can see it. There's one up there.
Yeah, there's room there.
I don't know how big that window is, but there's one up there.
I would say that a window in the gable has an opportunity to be at least as big or bigger than one on the eave.
Yeah.
And the doors are egress.
Yeah.
If the balcony stays.
Yeah.
No, you're looking at the wrong thing. I'm not looking at the little one. I'm looking at the one above it. There is no balcony up there.
We're on the second floor.
Yeah, I'm on the third floor because you were talking about the main dormer.
And then I was talking about the one on the addition.
The little baby one on the right.
The big one on the right.
Okay.
We want to make a baby of it.
Yeah.
That's all for me.
All right. Thanks, Angus. Brooke, anything else?
No.
And I think I.
It's going to be a while before we actually get heard at the HDC.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. I see Joe. Joe, are you here on the phone or are you here in video?
I'm on.
You're on
All right,
twice
I had
now.
Comcast issues, so I apologize for it.
Right.
Cutting out just before my
twice.
application was up.
He might have he might want to have a reverberation on the sound. He's on here twice.
Yeah, but I'm on mute.
Kill it.
Somebody needs to kill the other one.
Yeah, I'll kill it.
It's muted.
How much resume?
Go ahead, Joe.
Okay. So pretty simple on the east elevation, you know, if you're standing on Union Street, is we want to change the side door from a 9-light to a Dutch door. And we would also like to add a little portico. That is the door that they use a lot because they'll park right at that little side entry. And then we can't get anyone to do the copper portico and the back patio. So what we're going to do now is just do asphalt roof shingles, get it tight for the summer, and then come back either next year or the following to get that finalized. And then as we swing around to the south, we're just going to change a couple second floor windows because of what was a laundry room. We're going to turn into a bedroom. And then again, we're going to change the 9-light side door to a 20-light Dutch door. And if we keep going around to the back side, this is where most of the work is going to be happening. We're going to add a small little addition on the second floor, and that's going to allow for a code compliant stair from the back of the house down to the first floor level. And there was also a lot of clear story and horizontal skylights that were on the second floor deck, and we want to eliminate all those. They're very 1970s, very modern looking, along with punctuations within the deck, which is kind of awkward. There was a triple window in the second little lower gable, and we just want to change that to 3 separate windows. We also want to change the 9-light door to that new bedroom. We want to change that to a 16-light. And then going to the first floor, there's a large slider. And what we want to do is just do a typical French door at that location. And there's a powder room or bathroom on the first floor that we're going to convert into a powder room. And we're relocating that window. So same exact size. And on the north elevation, again, you can see the bathroom, or sorry, the stairway addition. And the other parts are, we're just reshifting and configuring some of the first floor windows and eliminating 2 of them. And that's just more where the pool is currently located. That's going to be the master bedroom wing. So we're just giving a little bit of shifting of those windows. Again, there's a large picture window on the second floor, and we're just going to turn those into 3 smaller windows. And that's it.
Okay. Thanks. Brooke.
All right, so elevation by elevation. East elevation, I have no concerns with any of that. And I'm glad that you haven't abandoned the copper roof idea. The south elevation, again, I have really no concerns. I'm looking at the 20 light door, and I think that it works for the way this building has evolved over time. I think it's there's a lot going on here, but I think that it's actually sympathetic to the way that this building has been amended over the years. So no real concerns on the south. West, I don't think you can see it. So, because it's up against the cliff. And the north, again, I think most of the changes are, other than the little roof addition, which I think helps that elevation. I think that a lot of that's just not visible, and most of the changes are helpful. So overall, I have no concerns, no real concerns.
Good. Angus?
I pretty much agree. I definitely like the switch from the sliders to the swinging French doors. The 20 light Dutch, it's hard to imagine, that lower panel. It seems like it's going to be like 20 inches off the floor. And I'm not sure how much meat there is for those, for the cross rails or lock rails. But now I'm pretty, I think all of it, all of them are appropriate changes. And I hope you're able to figure out the copper piece.
So
working on it.
Looking right there at the east elevation, you're saying change to a 20 light door, but it's drawn as a 12.
Yeah, it's actually a 16 light. Oh, it's 12 light. Sorry. Yes. So that's a typo.
So it'll be 12.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Over to the north, not a concern, but more of just a detail question. The bracket you're showing there, what is, are you going to give us a little bit more detail on that, or is it really just sort of a block of wood? Is there any carving in it, or?
I can do a little relief. It is matching the brace that is on the east elevation. That was previously approved.
Right. Look at that. Oh, there's one already there on the east.
Yeah, and I could still do I could do a relief on that as well, just to kind of time in.
What does that look? Is there, is it detailed, or is it really just a flat board?
It's going to be about 3 1/4 inches, but I can get you a detail. Right now, she would want it flat, but I can talk to her about doing some minor relief to it, because I do think of the age and the history of this house. There would be some relief or some detailing within that.
Yeah, some kind of scroll.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, when you look at the stock sort of Victorian brackets, there's a lot of detail to it. I'm not sure you want something super Victorian, but something a little bit more detailed than just plain flat sideboard.
Yeah, it's a little modern.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess I'm just saying, let's see some detail on that.
Okay.
Good suggestion. I think it's all improvement and invisible, and so I'm fine with the rest of it. Anything else? Anybody else? I guess Brooke, good. I think we're all set, Joe. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Take care.
Now, 93 Main, Satch replacement. It seems like this is an as-built condition.
Hello?
Yes, this is an as-built condition. The windows were removed as you all are aware, window replacements, light kinds, what have you, have to go to you all and the commission. And this was submitted as a light kind. And basically, I asked for a scope. This is the scope that you see before you. They're actually going to be stripping it, not just for the lead concerns, but they're going to be reglazing and reinstalling them. So of course, you all know this is one of the 3 bricks. This is significantly contributing to the NHL. So obviously very important in the historic district. And I think JB's, your eyes here.
I'm here, yeah. Yeah, so exactly what you mentioned, you know, it's, we are pretty much refinishing them. We are not replacing the windows or changing them, just refinish to look exactly the same as they are right now. Except, you know, they're adding some, probably like some window weather stripping, which is from inside, not visible, just to make it operate much better as it is now. So
you're not replacing the glass, are you? You're just reusing
no, no, not replacing glass. Only it's, yeah, it's pretty much because of the lead paint. They're trying to remove the lead paint and refinish it with just, you know, new paint, and of course reglaze, since they are doing it.
Okay. Brooke?
No, this all looks pretty good. Hey, Holly, can you go back to that list, please?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
Yep.
That process all looks pretty good. You know, the bulb weather stripping at sill and header, I know that's really not our business, but if you're going to do that, go as small as possible. Otherwise, you will wind up having to plane off the sash to make it work in those spaces. And I know that those old sash just don't have that kind of wood to give.
Yeah.
And that's just my experience talking. I've done a lot of this.
Great.
Cool.
That's it.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Angus?
I think it's all been said. But the main thing is just retaining them and restoring them.
Mm-hmm.
Be kind.
Yes. And I did look up this company after I received this letter, and they this is what they do even for historic structures. So this is right up their alley, and that's why I wanted a little more information.
Good.
More than just paint.
Okay, I think we sort of, aside from Brooke's comments about the bulbs and stuff, I think we're this is sort of a no concerns for us. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
41B, Cliff Road.
Jirai and I are here for 41B.
Okay. To start out, do we have an age on this building?
Holly, did I put that in my thing that I sent to you? We couldn't get an exact age only because the Sanborn maps didn't go out that far. I got them pretty far back, 1880s anyway. And then before that, nothing is really on record. I don't have any pictures older than the 1900 picture. I got a corner of one in 1910 on the report I just sent Holly. And so otherwise we don't know. I do know that there have been multiple additions. There was a front porch. Anybody remember Jimmy Barker's King Charles Spaniels sitting in the front porch? That was taken off in the early 2000s. The rear addition, all of it was taken off back to the main body of the house, and a new addition was put on. And we're going to extend another addition out the back because the lot is very narrow. Basically, it is the house with a slight driveway up the right. And we're going to put another addition on and step it back again from the addition that was put on and stepped back from the main body of the house in the early 2000s. So it's going to pretty much track the rest of the additions. There's the, that's the earliest picture I could find. You can see a corner of it on the picture below, since that right-hand building, and then you get to the Seacliff Inn. The right-hand building is that little horseshoe where there's 3 or 4 buildings up there. That's gone. But on the corner right here on the left, you can see the building.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get down here, you can see how narrow the lot is, but the lot runs all the way down to, like a lot of them do, to North Beach Street.
Right.
We've already been to the Concom. They have said that we can do the addition and the pool and the cabana. This is the main body of the house. And when Jimmy Barker had it, he had a full glassed-in porch in the front, because we used to terrorize the dogs on our way up to our house every time. They'd go bonkers in the window. And then you can see the other addition back there with the 2 dormers. That was the early 2000 addition. You can see it better here. And we're going to put another addition, obviously, back out the back. That's all we've got. And step it in one. You can see it from this side at all, from 43. You see how narrow that is. You see the other buildings in here that have replaced that one. And then I've got, that's a 35, pretty much the same. The rear addition's been taken off. When you get to the Sanborn maps, hang on, go back to the first one. When you get to the Sanborn maps, there was a whole nother structure behind it. We don't know how or where, but there was a whole nother structure behind it. It was a fairly sizable structure. And they've got a long 1-story addition. So you go to the next Sanborn map. The building's still there, the 1-story addition's still there, but then you go to the next one and they started to mutate that rear addition, and that other one is gone now. That's the 1898. You can see that other building is still there on the next lot. Then you go to the 1923, and it's basically all 2-story, which tracks that picture we saw. And 1949, it didn't change. So the changes started to occur somewhere after 1949. The 1957 area, which isn't in this packet, is hard to really tell anything from it. But here's the structure in 2001. This is the demo plan. You can see where they've added on and added on and added on. So then you go to the side view. That whole rear addition came off the back and they redid it. And cut the length back. So we're actually shorter at the moment than the original structure. So we want to sort of track back a little bit beyond. And there's the Jimmy Barker porch, where those 12 King Charles Spaniels would glue to that window and terrorize us. So we terrorize them. And you can see this is the whole back thing came off. You can see there was the other addition in the back that went to 2 stories, where in the original Sanborn maps, that was this is a 1-story element. And then they added that 2nd story to that rear element, and all of that came off, and that front porch came off. And then the new addition went on, which is what you see today. So what we'd like to do is add another rear addition, step it back again as far as the house is concerned. And Jirai can probably talk better about the current elevations. But that was the brief history in time.
Mr. Chair, I just want to ask Linda a real quick question. Was this called broadleaf?
I couldn't find that on anything. Okay. Normally on the old Sanborn maps, you can see names. Mm-hmm. And it may have been broadleaf, but it could have been the one next door to it.
Okay.
So I really don't know.
Reason why I asked is because the NHL data indicates that this is a 1846 Greek revival owned by Eastman Johnson called Broadleaf.
It could very well be that. Did that come off the Habs report?
This is from our NHL data from the latest update that was done to the
okay, because I couldn't get to access to that.
We looked at the Eastman Johnson house a while ago, and I don't think this was it. I think Botticelli and Pohl did something. I think it was the one probably next door.
Possibly.
Yeah, what's left of the one to the right. Yes.
Possibly, yeah.
That was Eastman's house, the one to the right.
But this being 1840s, based on the architecture on the facade, that's what I would agree with.
Yep, it's an old one.
The street elevation right now looks very much like the original street elevation in that first picture.
Yeah. So
we're not going there at this point. The stairs have changed direction. They've all done all kinds of stuff, especially when they took that front glass porch off. But then we're going to go back up the hill a little bit with another bedroom. It's only 3 bedrooms in this thing, if you can imagine that.
Okay,
we're going to go up the hill with a little addition, which isn't going to be visible from anywhere. And that's the story with this thing.
Okay, so let's hear from the board. Brooke, you want to go?
I'll take a stab at it. So the south elevation, I think that you know, this is an established Greek revival, and I think that you know, maybe the fenestration and door changes are a little bit too ambitious for a street-facing facade. I think that the east elevation and the west elevation are generally, I'm fine with that. And the north elevation, which faces towards North Beach Street, but is stepped back from the cliff.
Way back, yeah.
Is probably not very visible. You know, I have a little bit of concern about the negative massing for that addition, but again, I'm not sure that it's very visible. My primary concern is the south elevation.
Which is the road face?
Road face, yes.
Okay, as far as visibility from North Beach, you can't see it, not even the ridge, because it's probably 10 feet below the bluff. It's kind of odd because it's so close to Cliff Road. It goes straight uphill. Like they had a little patio on top up there so they could see over the hill.
Yeah, but yeah, you can convince the commission. I don't doubt that. I just
the front's a little too much.
I feel like you know, it's a Greek revival, and I think this is a little bit ambitious for such a simple and formal facade.
Okay.
So
is that really your focus of the concerns is the south?
Mine, yes, primarily.
Okay.
Angus?
That negative massing on the back side, I think will be minimally visible. So it doesn't bother me as much, I guess. But on the south side, the street facade, I think misguided is probably a better word than ambitious.
Okay.
It just changes the character. If it were a shop window on Center and Broad or something, it would be one thing, but to change it from what looks nearly perfect now to this, I think changes the character, not just for this structure, but everything around it is going to be compromised, I think.
A question for all of you. If it wasn't that, put it that way, and considering we had a huge wraparound sun porch up there, would you be amenable to taking the two right there? Nope, back up. Taking those 2 windows, doesn't really have shutters now, actually. Taking those 2 windows and adding a 3rd window to give it sort of the sun porch look, but keep it on the same plane and not all the hoorah up and bottom and top of it.
So I'm going to step in now. The answer to that question specifically for me is no.
Okay.
I don't think that would be appropriate at all. And I'm going to go back to the original south elevation and say that Angus and Brooke alluded to this also. That's very much as it originally was, as it was built, and it should remain exactly like that. I can't anticipate a reason to change it at all. So I would say the front south elevation should stay exactly as it is with no changes whatsoever.
Okay.
And the 2 side windows that you were referring to, you know, we don't have any compelling reason to go against our general guidelines of joining windows. So I'm going to say those windows, I don't know how old they are, but there's no reason to join them. And they would be inappropriate to join them. So
I can add another window there somewhere because that's kind of the layout's changing a little bit inside.
Add another one in the blank space if you want, but I wouldn't change those front 2.
What elevation is that, guys? Is that, I can't see it. It's down to
East.
East. Okay.
Yeah,
So-
if there were another window that were, you know, to the right as far away as the one to the left, why not?
Okay. But not ganged.
Not ganged.
Okay.
So regarding the rear addition, I'm going to disagree with both Brooke and Angus on this one. I think that negative massing is a problem, and I know it's a distance from North Beach to look up and see it, but I think because of the you know, the sun, the shadows, I think you're gonna know that there's a large negative mass looking up at that and seeing that.
Are you talking about the north elevation, Mickey?
On the north elevation.
You can't see it from anywhere, not even next door, actually.
I'm talking about from below down on the, you know, North Beach.
No, you can't, because you are 10 feet below the bluff. And that's going to remain 10 feet below the bluff. That's why we had to go to Concom. When you go up here,
yeah,
to the, where's the top of bank here? A little bit farther up there. When you go up to the top of bank, you're actually at Cliff Road level, which is good 10 to 12 feet below the top of bank. So you can't even see the top of the house, because I tried to take pictures from down there. You can't even see the house because it is so far below the bank, and it's far below 43 and it's far below 39. So they're hanging over our heads. That's why we're going to have a retaining wall somewhere in here, because they're way above us. So you cannot see it, and it's so far back from the top of bank towards Cliff Road that you can't see it. Probably the only house on Cliff Road that you cannot see.
So if you go out to the further away,
even if you move all the way over to Hulbert, you can't see it. You might be able to see the ridge, but that's it.
But Linda, what about when that gable extends 12 feet towards the cliff?
It's still, it has to go below grade. It has to be on the same floor level as the rest of the house. It goes up, I think, one step, and that's it. So you still cannot see it, because what this picture doesn't show you is just how big that drop is. So and it faces away, and you'd never see anything except maybe the top of the ridge, just because of the way it's set up.
But you're proposing, the drawing shows you're lowering the grade 3 feet.
To keep it on the same level as the house, which drops it even further from the top of the bank.
No, but you're removing what's probably blocking it from visibility at the moment. So I don't want to argue this point. I'm just going to say,
yeah, you cannot see it, period. You can't see that element of it. You can see the second.
Linda, can I ask you to stop talking for a minute?
Yeah.
Thank you. So I'm going to stick with my feeling that I don't think the negative massing on the north is appropriate. And if it's at all visible, which I can't say for sure, but it might be, so I'm going to stick with it. So other concerns of mine about the addition on the north is that it's you know, this house is long enough as it is, and the roof ridge heights are all very similar. There's, you know, the additive massing on this is really poorly done already. So we're just contributing to that. And so to make that ridge longer, and you're only dropping it about a foot, I would rather see that rear mass dropped significantly, 18 inches or 2 feet compared to what's shown right now. And the sidewall stepped in a little bit on that east elevation. There should be a break in the sidewall rather than just extending that whole sidewall plane. This has
I believe it's back a foot, Mickey. I can't see, it's too small, but I believe it's back a foot.
Well, on the east elevation, Linda, can you just wait till I'm done?
Yep.
On the east elevation.
That's west over here.
It shows it straight through without any stepping. And I think that's the side of the house that's more visible. So that's where it needs to step, on the east side.
Where are we? Yeah, it's supposed to go back a foot. I had that conversation the other day. The drawings didn't get changed.
Okay, Linda, please, can you just hold on for a minute? So also the French doors facing the north, again, they may not be visible, but they're a little bit wider than usual. They could have been fixed a little bit. And the dormers that you're proposing on the addition on the east elevation, it's mimicking the two dormers that are already inappropriately built. The scale, the plate height on those dormers is completely wrong. If you could fix it, that'd be great. But the plate height on those dormers should come down at least. So I guess what I'm saying, the new dormer plate height should be improved. There's no reason to continue building dormers that are done improperly. So,
Mickey, how would you fix that dormer when it's the same dormer as the other two?
well, don't make it the same dormer. You have to, first of all, I would suggest lowering the plate height.
Of just that addition?
Of just the addition. We're not talking about the existing. Because I think it has to be a little bit more diminutive as a secondary mass. It's not working as an additive mass. So it should be lower plate height or ridge line certainly, and then the dormer can be looked at as a different structure.
Okay.
To match what's there now.
I think stepping back from the east instead of the west makes a lot of sense in breaking up that, and it is the east that is visible from the street.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to do that, so.
Yeah, and any other, Brooke, Angus?
No other concerns.
Okie dokie.
All righty. Thank you.
We're not done with this project.
Right. That's true. So the next one is the pool? Pool and hardscape.
Yep.
I'm sure visibility is going to be pretty limited here. Do you guys have any concerns about this?
Neither.
Yeah.
We're okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
No problem.
And
cool.
The cabana.
You got the cabana. Which is next.
Are the directions mislabeled on this drawing?
Well, it's weird. It's sort of east, northeast, southwest. You know, so it's sort of whatever. Pick one.
Well, I'm looking at the.
See, it runs north and east and southwest.
Okay, but look at the trellis overhang over the bar type windows.
Hang on, we got to go down one.
That says south elevation, and I suspect that really should be the north.
Yeah, that's wrong. Well.
And east and west.
Yeah, yeah. Because it's south. It should be south because the front of the house is south.
Right. So.
Or north. It should be, that's north. That is north. It shouldn't be south. That's north. If that's where we're headed. So south.
Does anybody else, besides fixing the drawings, does anybody have any concerns with this?
No, it's limited visibility.
Yep.
Agreed.
Yep.
I'll fix the cardinal points.
Very good. So I think we're all set with that one. Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you. I'm still here. And I don't know if anybody's here from Emeritus, so I'll just go with it.
Lowell Place?
Yeah, it's the cottage, not the thing in the back.
Yeah.
We're doing less to it than anything else on the street, put it that way.
Brooke and Angus, any thoughts?
Where are we here? There we go. Almost all of them have had additions. One is in here, as you know, for 8. A lot of additions, but we're going towards the back of Woodbury. So we're going away from up the street. We're keeping the front facade as is. We're raising the ridge so we can actually get space up there. There is no second floor space as all the rest of them, except for one on the street, which have multiple dormers on the other ones. So this is one of the last ones that hasn't been touched pretty much since it was built in 1933, I think. That's in my report. And the back of it's not visible. And We're going to raise it up a little bit with a pitch, and then we're going to put dormers on it like everybody else on the street, so we don't have to go up too high. So it's pretty much there. We're going to obviously pick it up and put a new foundation under it, because it really is kind of a weird half foundation. And we're going to put dormers on it like the rest of the street. Nothing unusual happening here that hasn't already happened elsewhere on the street. The bungalows have all been changed except for one. And I believe Joe is in here to change the other one. The house next door has flanking dormers. In the report, I have all the other ones' history, including aerials from way back and then all the way to the present.
Okay. Brooke?
I have two different, like, divergent comments here. One, speaking to this design specifically, I think that the dormers could probably be made a little bit smaller, and they could still keep the windows in those dormers. But it just looks like, you know, there's a lot of shingle above the windows and there's a lot of shingle below the windows.
Can we go down one sheet, Holly? There you go.
So right now, just the dormers look a little bit shallow and large for the mass that's there. But I think they could accomplish the same program inside, just by making the shed dormer a little steeper and maybe knock it back like another 6 inches or so. They could still have the windows there. As far as the west elevation goes, that's not really visible. It'd be nice to see a little bit more of a ridge line break, but again, I'm not sure how visible that is. And so those are my comments on the design itself. You know, this particular design. My other comment is that, you know, changing the roof line, such as you are, I think it just begs the question, why not try and, you know, do a bungalow or something that is, you know, more in line with some of the other bungalows at the beginning of Lowell Place. I think it would be kind of cool to see another bungalow back there, but that's just my own personal agenda.
Mr. Chairman, through you, does that mean you'd change the direction of the ridge? We didn't want to do that, but
it's bungalow styling, you know, I mean, and I think you could probably have a gable forward bungalow. I mean, the one on the corner of Lowell Place and Main Street is a gable forward bungalow. I think one of them is anyway. So anyway, it's just a thought.
Okay.
But, you know, otherwise, those are my comments about this specific design.
Cool.
Good. Thanks. Angus?
This is often referred to as a street of bungalows. And the whole thing with bungalows is that they're modest, they're predominantly horizontally oriented. And the steep gable is in stark contrast to that. So I would lower the pitch, lower the height, and step the dormers back so they don't overwhelm the roof plane as much. And I think it's still going to be possible to fit in 2 bedrooms, 2 baths in that space under that height, probably a foot or 2 under that height. Yeah, I think that just when you look at that street facade, there's just a striking contrast in styles between the low horizontal roof and that steep gable peak of the.
We didn't want to raise the height of the walls. You know, we didn't want to raise the plate height. We wanted to keep that whole first floor system in place. There's really no set of stairs in there to get up there. You got to pull them down. So we got to create stairs and everything else inside. So it presents itself with a little interesting issue in there.
Well, maybe what we're saying is to just look at the other buildings.
Oh, we did. We have far less going on than the other ones.
No, but we're saying try to match the style a little bit more, not the amount of work, but just the style that you're doing. becoming.
Did you guys see my report in your thing, or did not see the report on each building?
I looked at it.
Because the other buildings look nothing like this anymore. There's one that looks similar, but they've got second floor dormers all over the place. They've got a big addition out the back, out the side, and that's the one next to us. So if you, yeah, here we go.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, this is Victoria Rakoff. May I make a comment?
Yes, please go ahead, Victoria.
Hi, my house is the house next door, and we have no dormers for one. And then at 10 Lowell, there are definitely dormers, but they are much smaller dormers, and the roof pitch has been kept much less steep. And that, you know, and the other thing as well, we're saying that, you know, less is being done to this house. The house right now is less than 800 square feet, and it's going up to, as best I can tell, around 2,400. So, which will make it one of the biggest houses on the street. I think the only bigger one will be the one behind it. So there is a lot going on. And from the south elevation, it actually really looks very 2 stories with the large dormers. And if you look at 10 Lowell, the dormers have much smaller windows. And then the other thing I was curious about was just the fact that the ridge height stays the same going from the front to the back of the house. And I know on some of the other houses I've seen, there's a step down typically when it does that, when you move to the back addition sort of area. And I was curious if that was a possibility to be considered.
You can't, yeah, you can't even get access to it. Here's 6, that's the one that's in, I believe Joe Topham's got that one. And there's the, that's the first one. There's nothing bungalow left on that one. And this is what used to be Dick Caton's house, the one on the corner. That was built a little bit after the rest of them.
Yeah, I kind of like that version right there.
Yeah,
I think that something similar could be done, and they'd still get a second floor program out of it.
Yeah, I think the roof pitch is a big.
Here you go. This was an interesting map we found. This is the sewer map of all things, because the other ones are hard to read. You can see they're all fairly simple footprints here, and they've all morphed except for that one, the Zapp's house, but all the rest of them have morphed. And then you go to the 1935 aerial, and you can see that things are beginning to happen to them. They look pretty much the same here that they do on the water map. And then you start moving up 1940s, it makes it harder to see, but they're still fairly simple. And you go to 1957, and things are starting to happen. You got additions, you got all kinds of stuff going on. Our porch got them closed. And then you go to the modern ones, and they're totally different. I did the aerial maps, I did the Sanborn maps. The Sanborn maps didn't go that far. The historic survey, not too much to note there, because they used the same 1940 map that I used. So that's pretty much all I could find on this one.
Okay.
Except for talking to the family, because we found great-grandfather
all right.
cottage we took down on one of the boards, and Andy Lowell came over and took the board.
I'm going to agree with pretty much what's been said in terms of the style that it's going, and I think the roof is too steep. I think if, you know, maybe raising the plate and going to a shallower pitch might actually make it look better. The dormers are definitely oversized and too massive. They need to be brought down to a better scale, either by greater setbacks or lowering the plate. They need to get fixed to some degree. And I definitely think, to Victoria's point, the additive mass in the back is just barely additive. It's just a minor drop. You can see there on the west elevation, it's just a smidge below the main mass. So that needs to come down a couple of feet to make that.
We go to that elevation.
Mass. So,
neither one of these are that. There we go. Wait, back up.
Okay. Yeah, that shows it right there. There's no real added diminutive or smaller massing.
Well, you're not going to get a lower eave height, but maybe a ridge height.
So those are my
right. Okay.
Angus and Brooke, anything else?
Yeah, I think it's important to drop that second mass. As drawn now, it looks like the interior cathedral gable for a bathroom looks like it might be between 11 and 12 feet. And by shallowing the pitch, you know, that would bring it down, but not really significantly change the usable floor plan.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'd much rather see that pitch be a 9 or lower, preferably an 8.
Yeah, it's pretty steep. It doesn't seem to fit in.
Okay.
Brooke, good?
Yeah, I have no other concerns. I mean, I think we're all sort of generally on the same page with this one.
I think so. Great. All right.
But you're not opposed to doing something to it.
Well, we're just saying that what you're proposing doesn't meet what we think would be appropriate.
Okay.
There's something else? Okay, so we're done with that one.
Yep.
Thanks, Linda.
No, I'm still here.
Okay. 98 Main.
It's the one on the corner of Pleasant and Main Street. Pretty deep lot.
You know, my concern with this application was there's no real, you know, Linda, we need to look at drawings. You don't have any drawings of the fences, and there's no drawing to show.
The fence is there.
There's no drawing to show what's going on with the conduit on the back of the building. I don't even know where you're proposing to put it.
All right. Yes, it's all on these pictures. Keep going. There's no plan for this building. It's just is. Yeah, forget that. I was able to get pictures of it after that. There it is. They're a foot lower than the fence, number one. I just put the diagram in there. Keep going. Okay, the fence is there. I don't know what happened to the front fence, but we're gonna put the fence from there to the house. I don't know where it went, what happened to it. It just wasn't there. So we're putting that part of the fence back. But the white fence in the back is already there.
So where's
it's going all the way back on the side of the building. The conduit is not going to be visible from Main Street. It's going through that fence and up the back of the house on white trim, so it looks like a gutter. Keep going. You can't see it from Pleasant because there's an addition here on the right. It's going right up the back of that piece of trim. So it's coming through and going up the back, so it cannot be seen and it looks like a gutter. I wouldn't allow them to put it on the side of the house, and I didn't care if they boxed it. It was going behind the house where you can't see it from either side because there's a 2-story addition on the right side from Pleasant. So it's going right up the back of the trim, white. That fence is going to be expanded. It's a 66-inch high fence, and those units are 53 inches high. It's going all the way in that back corner. Keep going. So the fence is going to be a box. It's a piece of fence is coming out 8 feet, going back to the building 7 feet to hide them and not disturb the walkway behind this gate. So the walkway is going to stay. The back fence is going to stay. We're just going to have a matching set of fence around those things. So it looks like it's part of the main fence. This is from the Pleasant Street side, so you can't see anything on this side. If we go back up to the diagram, the aerial. Back. Hold it. You see the white fence here, right there. This is going to, the walkways, you can see part of the walkway coming in from that random gate. It's going to be, the fence is going to come out, the same exact fence, out 8 feet, back to the thing 7 feet. There's going to be a gate coming from the inside, so you can't see the gate. No gate's going to be left open. And the units are over a foot shorter than the fence is. It's a lot better than these random trellises and natural to weather fences. So it looks like the exact same fence that's already there.
Okay, got that part.
And no conduit.
Brooke or Angus?
Angus, go ahead.
The way it's been described, I don't think it's going to be visible. I don't think it's going to be an issue. It saves us so much time when there are fewer words necessary to describe what's going on. It's better to have a plan that makes it all clear without anyone having to say anything. And that's all I have to say.
Mr. Chair, I do have comments from Lucy.
Okay.
She said she would prefer the AC units to be behind the existing fence. I don't think she realized that you were going to continue that on the front. Fencing around AC to match exactly existing fencing. Would be nice if the meter could be boxed in two. She did send me a photo, which I'd have to stop share and get into it, but she sent me a photo of the existing elevation, which I think is similar to what Linda has in here. Yeah, right there, which shows the meter on the right. She was saying that if the meter on the corner of the house could be boxed in too, that would be great. But you're putting a fence here, correct? That fence is going to be solid.
Coming across. I don't know what the height of that box is, but I'll take a look at it. But we had no intention of touching anything on that corner, but I'll look at it.
It looks like it would cover it if it goes right to the end of the trim coming down. So sorry, those are the comments from Lucy.
Thanks, Ellen.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Before I finish, I mean, before you move on, I just wanted to say that as far as the visibility, the fence I think would obviously screen these units, but I'm trying to think how often you see a bend in a solid fence. Generally, it's just like, straight across, and I'm wondering with that sort of back and over, how prevalent that is and how appropriate it is.
Well, Angus, it's the same thing as all the other ones I've done in town where I've had to put a random surround around these things. At least this looks like the same fence. I've got fences all over town just around the stupid units, which I can't stand, but they're there. And they're always natural to weather, and you got a white fence, you got a picket fence, you got a type 2 fence. At least I'm using the same fence and they're completely covered. Brooke? But I have random fences all over town with these stupid units.
Okay, thanks, Linda. Brooke?
I think that the units can go behind the existing fence and still be hidden from Pleasant Street. There's no reason to create a jog with a 66-inch fence in that little garden area. I think it'll be obvious what's behind it. It's irregular in that yard and with this building. And I think that behind that fence, it's a lot more palatable to me. And it's a lot less visible. And to me, I just don't know why you would want to put it forward of that fence and into that garden area. I think of Jared Coffin House as a primary example. I mean, obviously that's on steroids, but it's the same kind of thing where you've got a fence jutting out into a visible public way, and the fence doesn't really relate to the architecture or any adjacent structure. I think this is a little more subtle, but I think it's still the same issue. So I do agree with Lucy, her write-in on that one.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, me too. I think it's sort of invading into the publicly visible space, whereas it can easily go into their private backyard space.
Logistically, no, unless they're freestanding, because where the porch comes down and where the back porch is and where the windows are back in the back, there isn't anywhere to put it on a wall. So they'd have to be out in the middle of the yard by themselves.
Or whatever. Keep scrolling. I'll tell you when to stop.
That's Pleasant Street.
Go up. Keep going. Keep going.
Keep going.
Go back down. Right there. Stop.
Yeah.
Okay. Right where it says conduit, that black line, you can put those things right there. And not only that, your conduit will be right there. You won't have to go through a fence, and you won't have to build a fence.
Well, I think their attitude then is to move the whole damn fence forward, which isn't going to help. So I suggest
well, they can come back in for that, but that's where I think we all agree those units should be. And it's not hurting anything in the backyard by putting them there.
Yep.
Well, I went over this with them. That's not where they want to go for logistical reasons.
Linda, just listen to what we're saying. We're not asking for your comment on it. These are our concerns, and this is what we're recommending.
Okay.
And you know, the conduit still bothers me. I know it's technically probably not visible. I think it's a shame to have to put a air conditioning conduit on the back paneled pilaster of this building. It just seems like a big violation. So,
oh, guys, I do remember why they were where they're located, because you can't get to the second floor. That's a one-story element. They wanted to go inside the shingles where they were up inside, so you couldn't see it from where they're going to be blocked. But that's why they're there, is because of how they get into the building and get up inside. That's why they're there. I knew there was a reason why I couldn't get them back here.
Well, you're going to see the conduit.
I don't want anybody to see the conduit.
Well, you just said you're going to put it on that shingled wall?
Yeah, and then the other one's coming through the fence and up the back. There was a reason on the inside that the engineer said that's the way it had to go.
This is another reason why we need elevations showing where conduit's going, where units are being proposed, and where the fence is. It's just a bit sketchy.
I completely agree. And Linda, you know, you've sat on this board long enough to know that we need to know exactly where these things are going. Your description doesn't suffice to me to describe what's happening. I still don't know what's happening.
Well, the aerial is pretty explicit, but we'll have to cross that bridge. There isn't a plan.
Well, that's why we all create plans.
I'm not spending $10,000 to get a surveyor for this. You see where the walkway is? It's to the left of the walkway.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I think our concerns are the conditioners, AC units should be behind the fence. I'm concerned about just putting the conduit on the building, period, which it shouldn't ever go on. And then the lack of drawings to show the proper location and description of really what's going on. So I think we're good with this one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think further.
I'd only recommend that when there's more information to come back.
Yeah, thank you. So I see Joe's back.
Joe back.
5-1, didn't mean to jump the gun.
No, we're ready for you. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is 8 Lowell Place, which is directly behind 6 Lowell Place. There's a tiny little way that leads you into the back. 8 Lowell Place has 2 simple little structures on it. The oldest structure is 1850s, but this application is for the 1960s structure. We were hoping to restore this 1960 little dwelling. Bo Wilson Construction came in and filed for a shingle permit and repair some windows. But once the shingles were removed, rot was noticed on the substrate material, so they removed some of those boards. And then once that was removed and they could see the studs, there were rat nests all along in here. There were powder post beetles, and there was water damage as well. So the other part of the problem is the interior material has black mold, all the walls are lead paint, and the house is uninsulated. So we just have this conflicting, mold from both sides and rot, and it's just been overtaken by rats. Bo Wilson is on the call, so if you want to get his perspective, I think it really helps. But it's just right now it's in uninhabitable conditions, and kind of sad that we are here before you to knock this down, but we really don't see much we can do to save it. It's just, there would be a handful of studs remaining. I don't know, Bo, do you want to jump on? And
yeah, good afternoon, Bo Wilson here. So just this afternoon, I went in just to take some more photographs of the inside, and did a little poking and prodding, and the former owners, the Zapps, actually resided in this building for the last several years that they were alive on Island. And there was a space heater of sorts that had been protruding through the wall, so they were heating the space. And there's insulation, as is indicative here, in some of the bays, most of which are at this juncture full of rat droppings. I have removed the sheathing all around the entire perimeter of the building to expose the hodgepodge that exists there. There's the piers are collapsing, the powder post beetle and termite damage is everywhere. You can see in that picture right there, the cinder block corner pier is just, it's supporting nothing. The entire structure is basically on grade, all of which is examinable now because it is pretty much wide open and one could go there and take a look. In the interior, the mold, because of the fact they were heating it, it was condensating on the back side of the board as well as the outside. The condensation is literally dripping down the walls, and you can see the staining and the black mold that's pretty much all over the place. I did send some pictures to Joe this afternoon. Some places I was able to examine the back side of the board, and it is completely black with mold. In addition, we did some tests just to see how much lead paint was in there. It's full, no surprise there, but it's peeling off in chunks all over the place. And I don't see any way around addressing this property other than to tear it down. There's nothing left of the structure that's integral. There's, in my mind, nothing that's super wonderful about the structure in itself. I know it was built in 1960, but it's beyond my ability to make something out of without making every single piece of wood within the structure brand new. There's nothing left. That's my take.
All right. Thanks, Bo.
Thank you.
Brooke.
Yeah, I think it does look like a bunch of termites holding hands. So I don't know if there's anything that could be salvaged. That would be great. I mean, but it definitely, you know, it's 1960s, so it's sort of that borderline zone. I think you could knock it down. I have no problem with that.
I just got the pictures from Joe. Thank you. I'm going to put those up. I did want to mention, I sent an email to Joe about this. I wanted to kind of see some interior photos. But I noticed that the application indicated that it was non-contributing. And I just like to address the fact that, yes, surveys from 1989 is going to indicate a structure built in the 60s is non-contributing on the NHL. Of course, doesn't meet the 50-year rule. That's just a misnomer, and I like to correct people when I see that.
Delete
All right, here's the photos. Thank you for these, by the way, guys.
No, I apologize. Comcast being down, it was kind of difficult to get these two.
Yep, no problem. I can't really switch them around, but you guys get the gist. Now, I did look. Is Lowell Place, you know, all of Lowell Place of any structure that was on there in the 80s was surveyed by the HDC, the cultural surveys, and some of them seem to be addresses were different. So did you look at all the surveys? That could be either 6 or 8
We
at
did.
all? Okay.
Yes.
I figured you would, but I just wanted to, I know sometimes that can be confusing.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. And we even reached out to Ralph Hinkey to see if she had any photographs or any information, and she had nothing. So, but apparently a sewer plan looks pretty good that Linda just shared. That was quite a nice find.
Angus, what do you think?
I think that even if you tore out all of the sheetrock and you took out the insulation and you brought in, you know, dehumidification and an ionizer to kill the mold, you know, it's a difference between saving the whole frame and whatever infrastructure you could save in there, and you know, throwing it up and throwing it out, and buying all new stock and rebuilding it. So you know, I feel like yeah, I mean, it would be great if there were a great structure there that had integrity, but I hate to see the waste, because, you know, things are rotted or molded. I don't, I've seen one or two framing pictures where like the sill is rotted, but I've seen that before with a 200-year-old house, and you just replace the sill. So I don't think that this is an all or nothing situation. So I guess I would prefer to see it, you know, stripped back to the point that that you could use what's there. And I think there's a lot there that could get used.
Yeah. So I guess personally, I think I'm going to fall a little bit more on Brooke's side. I think that, you know, when we don't like to tear anything down just because of the material. This is not terribly historic material. It's all 1960s. Some of it's pretty old. But I don't think I have a real problem with this. It's just, you know, it's not an 1800s. It's not even an early 1900s building. So I think I'm generally okay with the demo. If there's something in there worth salvaging, some of the doors, I don't know if the windows are worth, you know, what condition, what period those windows are in.
Those are some tiny windows.
Yeah. So Joe, is this going to be a complete identical replacement, or are you going to redesign this if you demo it? What's the next step here?
We're talking about doing some structure, and we're not sure if it's going to be like a garage apartment or something. Just the owners are going to retain 6 and 8, so we're not quite sure where we're going to go. But you know, Bo started on this and all of a sudden realized like this is just, you know, it would be like Disneyland. We'd be rebuilding something brand new and no historical value would be left on this structure. Mm-hmm. So we just stopped and said, let's just see what the HCC would say and then go from there.
So the replacement structure, if any, is still unknown.
Still unknown.
Okay. All right. I was just curious about that one. So I don't know, anything else, Brooke or Angus? I'm sort of okay with this one.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Oh, did you have plans? Did you do as-built?
No, I can if you need them, but we just figured the black and white photos.
Well, I'm just saying that because typically when you're with a proposed demo, we do have those. So.
Yeah, I would like to, that would be nice to have that as a part of the file. Yeah, you know, I mean, it's a tiny building. It's maybe not, but it has been there for a while, and it would be nice to know that something was there and have that just recorded for posterity.
Okay. Give me a couple of weeks so I can get that to you all.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
So that's it.
Is that all?
Mr. Chair, yeah, that is it. I just do have a note on here about Resilient Nantucket. If you haven't gone onto the MVP page, we have the updated revised design guidelines were recently resubmitted by our consultant, Phil Thomason, and he is looking for comments. We would like to give some comments back by the end of the month. So you have a month to take a look at them. Please do. And you also, if you haven't had a chance to look at them, you are in there as an acknowledgement for the help that you've provided. Both Sconset, HSAB, and both our commissions. So
cool.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Holly, I got a question about our schedule. You know, the way I know the HDC is really far behind at the moment. And I'm just wondering if, and you know, you guys weigh in on this too, is it do we need to meet every week, considering that they're not even probably seeing these for a couple of weeks, maybe down the road?
Yep. So that, as far as having applications go before you to try to keep up with what's being submitted, that's all up to Kathy. Kathy is the gatekeeper of posting and making sure the applications have everything they need and all that stuff. So that's up to her purview. We were reviewing some of them to kind of keep up with that. The influx. I mean, when you receive between 100 and 200 applications a week, it's a lot. As you all have just looked at 20 new applications. So it does help in that schedule ream, if you will. I keep track of everything. So that way, when they finally go before, so everything that's been reviewed today, obviously it won't be for a while. I know Brooke has been involved with this all the time with those lengthy, almost 5-hour meetings. So really, it's up to you. If you all are not comfortable, or not, I shouldn't say that, would like to kind of back off on some of having meetings weekly, that's fine. I think that that's should be, it's okay with me. We are kind of backed up. We do have about 5 pages, I think, on the agenda. But we're reviewing stuff as they come in, and as Kathy is saying that they can meet the criteria. She's the gatekeeper and keeps track of all that stuff. God bless her. So.
Well, we don't want to miss anything. So I don't want to say we're not going to meet one week and then suddenly an application goes through and we've just missed a chance.
Well, I would just be mindful on the old business stuff. The old business stuff sometimes do not go before you again. All depending on when the application deadline is for meeting that old business week, as well as being able to post. Again, I work with Kadeem setting that agenda and posting it for open meeting law purposes for me. So.
I don't mind. I mean, the less we have to meet, the better. But my primary concern is that there isn't anything slipping through the cracks. So if we need to meet every week to keep up with the old business, so be it.
And that's pretty much what's been going on. Anytime you notice the agenda, it kind of follows based on what the previous agenda week was, whether it's old business or new business. And there's been stuff that's been coming back, which is good. So sometimes, again, like I said, things fall through the crack, and I notice, wait a minute, I remember that didn't go to HSAB, but again, what's up with that? And I'll make sure I do a preview of that to make sure, as well as any of your previous comments that may have not been addressed with that revision. So again, it's just the sheer amount. Yeah, but
here's a thought. Maybe we could just do rotating groups of 3. I mean, we'd still have a quorum. That would obviously force all of us to really commit to those time slots. But we've got the 3 here. We've got Lucy and we've got Jason. So that's 5. And I haven't really mathed it out. Mickey knows how good I am at that, but or not. But I think if we stepped it right, maybe each of us would have like a 2 weeks on or 1 week off kind of thing, or a 1 week on, 1 week off, and we could just sort of roll through like a revolving group of commissioners, because it's not like we're obliged to review the same applications that come through.
Right.
We can pick up, for instance, next week it might be like Angus, Jason, and me, and we're looking at something that the 3 of us already looked at, but it doesn't matter because there's no law that says that we have to be the same people on it. So I think there might be some flexibility in that regard. And I'm only bringing this up now in this public forum because if I didn't do that, then we would be violating the open meeting law. But maybe that's something that, I'll put together a little spreadsheet and I'll throw it out there and see if there's any takers.
Well, I'm not opposed to it. I think generally I kind of like to see most of the applications. So I think I would I think what I would say is an alternative is that maybe if there's an opportunity that comes up some week that Kathy or you, Holly, know that whatever we have scheduled really isn't going to be viewed for, until we have another meeting. Like if there's an opportunity for us to skip a week, why don't we just all take the week off and put them, but again, not sacrificing the possibility that we might miss something.
Right. I do will notate too, sorry, Angus, that take a look at the HDC schedule that's been posted on the website. There are a couple of weeks where they don't have meetings at all. And usually we've been trying to follow that with you all as well, because of the fact that, there would be a time, we did have meetings and then it was just, we were reviewing stuff that they haven't even reviewed yet, quite frankly. So it's, keeping it consistent with their schedule would probably be a good idea.
Right.
And I greatly appreciate all the work that you guys put into this with me. So thank you.
Well, that's our job. That's why we're here. Angus, did you say something?
Sorry, Angus.
No, it's all right. Now, I think that's the thing, is what you described, is if there's an opportunity for us to take a break, let's not feel like we have to meet every week. But let's just make sure that we're not missing anything. And I mean, there's some weeks like last week where I had one application for Wisconsin Advisory and I had one application for, and so, there were 2 meeting times that were just for one application. So that was, I wish those had gotten clustered into other application days.
Yeah.
Understood.
All right. Okay. I think we're beyond that. Do you have any other comments, guys?
Just need a motion to approve the comments.
Can I make a motion to approve the comments?
Seconded.
Second.
All those in favor, Brooke and Angus?
Aye.
Aye, too.
Motion to adjourn.
Long one.
Second.
All those in favor?
Brooke, aye.
And aye.
Thank you, Mickey. Thank you, Holly.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Holly. See you.
Ciao.
Bye.